All right, moving on. US President J.D. Vance has casually said that he hopes his wife converts from Hinduism to Christianity. In what has drawn anger from Hindus across the world, J.D. Vance expressed his desire that his Hindu wife embraces Christianity. People were quick to point that J.D. Vance was being a hypocrite to power his electability, since he married Usha Vance as per Hindu customs and has also named their child Vivek. Usha Vance had earlier clearly said that she has no intention to convert and is proud of the fact that her parents still follow Hindu customs and her children show interest in Ramayana and Mahabharata. So why did J.D. Vance make these comments is the big question. Is he picking a leaf from his president's tree, who is known to make such bizarre comments? So is this the new America where votes trump all morals and values? Well, let's discuss this with our guest. Joining us on the show at this point in time is Joyita Basu, editor of the Sunday Guardian. Pandit Satish K. Sharma, Hindu scholar, also joins us on the program. Purnima Nath, Republican leader, with us on the program as well. Rashmi Samant, author, former student president, University of Oxford, also with us on the program. Purnima, I'll begin with you. Well, I heard these comments. In fact, Purnima, are you there with us?
Yes.
So I heard these comments. I saw that Indian immigrant questioned J.D. Vance and asked him about, how come all of a sudden immigrants are not welcome in the United States? And of course, he went about this rant. He did not even have to, in fact, put himself in this kind of a trap, where he started discussing how he's married to an immigrant and, values her beliefs, but he values his beliefs more than hers. And he says there will come a time when I hope she converts to Christianity. Is this comment unsolicited, and is this also damaging to the Vice President, who by many MAGA leaders and followers is considered to be an heir, a successor to Donald Trump and perhaps even the Republican Party?
Namaste, Shivam. Thank you so much for having me. First of all, I want your attention towards what I have said in the last perhaps 8 months, especially 8 months, but prior to that as well. What was not clear earlier was MAGA's vicious agenda of Christian convertibility. Basically, they really want a Christian nation, and they want America to be an exemplary for the entire world. And if you saw from a Charlie Kirk's point of view, you have seen his debate in Oxford as well, and how literally they're using Charlie Kirk as the next messiah for converting America, UK, and literally every European country. And this is not a light matter at all, and that's what I was trying to bring attention earlier, not today, but many months ago, because of the fact that they were initially they were targeting the illegals, but this is not the case anymore. They are actually targeting the legal immigrants. If you saw DHS, the Department of Labor, the Homeland Security, and etc., they are all targeting and spreading a message very clearly that send them back, and US Americans are actually losing jobs to the foreign workers. And this is what they're saying, using government portal, official state portals. And the reason it becomes extremely vile and vicious for Hindus and legal Hindu Americans like us is that they're just not targeting the illegals at this point of time. They actually went after the H-1B, and they're actually saying that H-1B holders, because they are mostly given to the Indians, they're engineers, doctors, lawyers, whatnot. They are scammers. We have scammed the system. We are fraudulent people. We are coming here stealing American jobs, and we should be all sent back. The country that was built by immigrants, they are now saying that the foundation was Christian. Could you please show me one sentence in the Constitution that actually told us this country was built as a Christian nation? Could you tell me one founding fathers, they call them quote unquote founding fathers, they have communicated that this country was supposed to be Christian? If you look at and analyze their statements at that time as well, it's Absolutely. They wanted to make sure that church and state is separated, and that's where the concept of church and state separation came from. Hindus, I know, we are West focused. We come here, most of our Hindu community in America is a citizen, a legal immigrant. They didn't cross the border. And if they did, actually President Trump was the one sent them in military plane, shackling them in chains in 48 hours, not giving them food and water, and they treated them like criminals. When in the campaign trail he actually said
Yeah.
he was going to send
Okay.
he was going to
Okay, I
was
see
going
where
to
you're coming
commit
from.
violence.
I also need to get the other panelists involved in this conversation as well. Joyita Basu, editor of the Sunday Guardian, also with us on the show. Joyita, very plainly put, what did you make of what J.D. Vance said? You know, preaching others to convert to your religion is a very, you know, for the lack of a better word, is a jihadi concept to me.
Well, let's not go there. I think it's about evangelism. But the fact of the matter is that something that is extremely private, something the matter should have been, it's between the husband and the wife. I mean, he basically, to put it in a very sad term, I would say, he just threw his wife under the bus. And for what? To basically pander to the dregs of the MAGA movement. You see, I mean, as it happens, I know quite a few MAGA people, make America great again. It's not uniformly.
For seniors who want to get back on you.
Sorry, is anybody speaking?
Can please the rest of the panelists please turn off their microphones? Appreciate it. Go on, Joyita.
Yeah, the thing is, you see, I mean, it's not that when it comes to MAGA, everybody is a racist and everybody hates Indians. No, not like that. I know quite a few. It's not like that, but there is no denying at the same time that the large section, at least it seems like online at least, the large section of it is kind of very racist and believers, white supremacy, and not just to adding to that white supremacy, what they are talking about is that Christian factor. Now, MAGA, it seems that it is increasingly becoming like a Christian movement. If you have to stay in America, you have to be Christian. And obviously, they have got major problem when it comes to Usha Vance, because she is Hindu. Now, the problem here is J.D. Vance. More than MAGA and the dregs of MAGA, the problem is J.D. Vance, because he lacks conviction. And that is what I said. Now, the worst part about it is that he is ready to go against his family when it comes to, he's such a big opportunist when it comes to basically becoming the president of the US. And it seems increasingly like, sooner or later, he is the chosen one. And if Trump cannot complete his tenure, then we are hearing lots of rumors also about it. J.D. Vance is the next president. Now, for him, the problem is that whatever he was telling this particular group, was it just talking point, or has he actually started believing it? Because you have to see it also in terms of when J.D. Vance, everybody wished Indians, Hindus, Diwali. Who was the person who did not wish anybody, did not send out Diwali greetings? J.D. Vance and his wife. So is Usha Vance a liability to J.D. Vance now? Okay, and you see, this is very sad that a man like this it may actually become the US president. And you also have to see it in terms of not just Hindus. When it comes to the Jewish people, the Jews are also very angry with J.D. Vance, because there was another question in that particular program where he said these things about Usha Vance's faith. He also said something like, when it comes to, someone talked about persecution of Christians in Israel by the Jewish people, which is utter balderdash, which is utter nonsense. And he kind of not saying no to that, he nodded his head. So I know personally lots of people, as it happens, in the MAGA camp, who are Jews, and they are furious with him. So he is basically, what he is doing is that he is angering the Jews, he is angering Hindus, just because he thinks the racists among,
Okay.
this MAGA movement, that is the only way that he can gain their support. But he's so foolish that he's not realizing there's a substantial section of Americans who are liberal, quote unquote, right thinking people, and independents in particular. Let's not forget, when it comes to elections, in the next, elections, the midterms are coming up, and eventually when it comes to the presidential election, he's scaring the independents away. So he is doing it, you see. Neither Trump nor Vance can win an election with the MAGA. They will have to win independents over. That is the reason why Donald Trump swept the last election, because hordes of independents, and particularly in the swing states, that is where, swing states, the vote shifted to Donald Trump. Indians also, from whatever I have been hearing, in certain swing states, even though their numbers are small, but the differences are also so small between the two parties over there that they hold some kind of they have a decisive say in those areas.
Okay.
So he is in trouble.
All right. Okay. Let's get an opinion from Pandit Satish K. Sharma as well. Pandit Sharma, what do you think this is? Is this playing to the gallery when it comes to the popularity of J.D. Vance, or do you think this is political immaturity? The Vice President is only 41 years of age. He perhaps has a lot to gauge and learn, from the kind of culture that he's used to and the kind of culture he's propagating at this point in time, which is, of course, MAGA.
Jai Shri Ram first, and thank you for having this opportunity to speak about this. I think as Hindus we're very forgiving and we're very broad-minded, and we can find reasons to justify why a young man might make incautious statements. But this is the Vice President of the United States of America we're talking about. And so what he says matters, and I don't think we can give him the benefit of being quite so gracious. His words have consequences. In terms of what's happening, I'd like to just remind everybody of a famous American politician who said, America doesn't have friends, it only has interests. And I think that is deeply rooted in the American political scene. He obviously has worked out what his interests are and is presumably now playing to those interests. But this is, I think this is a symptom of something even more important. We talk about multipolarity, how the world order is changing and the Euro-Christian hegemony is being shaken. We now have multipolarity in the area of economics, where Bharat has been so influential in making that arrive. We have multipolarity in the area of military hegemony, with Bharat having, I think, now the third most effective military machine. But in the United States, they have another weapon of mass deception, I suppose, and that is religion. And that is lagging far behind. Religion has been used as a tool for massing people together. It's nothing to do with dharma, it's nothing to do with satya or vidya. It has always been used as a way of getting a group of people together. In the words of Voltaire, he said, if you can make people believe in absurdities, you can make them commit atrocities. And I think what we're seeing is the Christian nationalist movement, the Christianist movement in the United States now stepping forward, feeling threatened, feeling that its turf is being encroached upon. And the concept, just the idea of having a Hindu first lady, it sends shivers down their spines, I'm quite sure. We have this notion that they've been spreading of a jealous God. Imagine if you have been brought up and the samskara that you have are samskara that there is a jealous God out there. You're going to be psychologically influenced by that. I think it's a wonderful thing that it's actually come out at this point in time, because the hypocrisy, the moral hypocrisy, the religious hypocrisy of the American machine, the American power machine, has really been laid out in front of us. With regard to his maturity, a more mature politician possibly would have said, I'm sorry, the area of religious engagement between myself and my family members is private, and this is not a subject for scrutiny. He could have upheld the values and the virtues in the Constitution. He could have upheld the values and the virtues of a secular state, but he chose not to do any of those. And I think that's unfortunate. In that regard, I think he is certainly not a seasoned politician.
All right, fair enough. Rashmi, this is obviously, difficult and, dangerous to process, because like the other panelists also said, this is the Vice President of the United States that we are talking about, who's put out this message, which he's also retracted from. But I feel the damage has been done. What goes on in his mind has come out, even though the question that was asked of him did not directly imply that he answered it in such a way.
Absolutely. I think I went through the entire segment, and I don't think it warranted a response that would then try to explain in detail what the faith of his wife was or was not, or what he hoped it would be. I think that much explanation was not necessary, and he could have easily sidestepped the question in a way that many politicians do. But the very fact that he chose to address that question in that particular manner by saying that he hoped that his wife would embrace Christianity, he has sent a very clear message. And irrespective of what that message does to his own political career, I think it's problematic in the way that it represents a ground reality, a new ground reality for Hindus in America now. And that ground reality is extremely dangerous. I think many of the Hindus making these comments in America, the second lady, for instance, she's very shielded because of the position that she is in, and many people are. But people, Hindu students who go to America for a degree, Hindus who are just trying to, who have just emigrated because their kids live there, they're taking a walk in their neighborhood, they are not shielded from the consequences of such statements. And what these statements do is add fuel to the fire of anti-Hindu hatred that already exists in America. We've seen over time how there have been dot-busters in New Jersey, how elderly Hindu people have been hit when they were just taking a walk outside their neighborhood. So there has been a sort of deep-seated hatred that has always existed in the American society. And what this statement does is just add more fuel, and it's going to translate to crimes on the street, and common Hindus are unfortunately going to become victims of this. So I think this debate extends beyond just what political play he's trying to get at, or whether it's going to make him the next president or not, or whether it's some sort of a gimmick. Because when lives are on the line, when we're talking about hate crimes against innocent people, then he's definitely crossed a line. And I think it's extremely dangerous. And America is not isolated. In a way, I feel that anything that comes out of America then has a cascading effect on the way the world thinks about a particular subject. I see a lot of anti-Hindu hatred on a lot of these social media platforms that dictate and shape popular opinion, especially X. Ever since the Trump administration has taken an anti-Hindu stance, which was not apparent during their entire election. It was mildly there, but it wasn't this apparent. But now that it's sort of taken off full force, the hatred is even more, and people are finding the fuel to actually say bigoted things online.
You're absolutely right. And Purnima, in fact, I was reading a report the other day where it's been quite evidently put out that the Americans will only allow up to 7,500 refugees to enter the country. And these refugees, most of them predominantly ought to be from South Africa. This is a complete shift in how the previous government or previous even Republican governments functioned, this is not going to have a good impact on the way civilians get along in the United States.
Vineet, remember in your show itself, many months ago, I spoke about an incident that has happened in 2024, back in the summer, Faith and Freedom conference in DC. I was a participant. I was listening to Senator Josh Hawley, and he spoken from the podium. He wants, quote unquote, we want Christian CEOs. When he came out of the podium, I decided to confront him about that particular statement he made. I said, why did you say that? And most of the companies you see in America, 50, 200, 300 top companies, the CEOs are either Indian, vice presidents or executives are actually Indians. Even I was speaking to GoDaddy 2 days ago, and the person that I was talking to, he himself said his CEO is Indians. We love Indians, and we got into some conversation afterwards. But the point I was trying to say is that this is not a light matter, because they are actually trying to target Hindus and Indian Americans very specifically, and H1B. That is why H1B is in the focus. Now let me give you one more example. Charlie Kirk's his own quote. He specifically said that America is going to be America if 90% were Indians. Caveat was they were actually Christians. This MAGA movement, although they said they were obviously I'm a GOP politician, and I've ran elections as a conservative, and every meeting, every single events, we start with Pledge of Allegiance. I would actually like to bring your attention to what they say in Justice for All. What is Justice for All when you are going after one particular community, which is a micro minority, 1.1% in this country? Are you so afraid that you think Indians are so powerful they're going to displace you like that? We're 1%. 1.1%, first of all. Second of all, do you remember what happened in Uganda, 1972? When Idi Amin actually posted a eviction declaration, and gave 90 days for the Indian community to be ousted from there. They were given, literally they were given order to take only 200 kgs with them, and $120 perhaps, or something like that. This is a humiliation and indignification of Hindus in this country. And when somebody says this is only 1 or 2% saying no, the entire MAGA, the Project 2025 is a heritage foundation. I'm finding a weird connection between J.D. Vance Catholicism, Steve Bannon's Catholicism. A recent post that Steve Bannon actually said that Trump is some kind of instrument. He's going to be president again in 2028, and at a right opportune time they're going to unleash a plan. This is a dangerous way of saying that this country is no longer open for the immigrants. This is what this country was built on. You remember, Hindus were not even welcome in this country until 1965, and when they came, they were not allowed to marry also, because they were afraid that these children are going to be staying Hindus, because we know Hindu community are mostly agnostic. J.D. Vance's comment is so bizarre, because Usha Vance said in her statement that she's a Hindu. She's not agnostic. That's not what she said. Now, yesterday he goes on the podium, he says she's an agnostic, and he wants her to convert. There is no ifs and buts about it. It's whether it's Indian convert missionary or American.
All right, Purnima, we have run out of time, but I appreciate your thoughts and the valuable insights that the rest of our panelists shared with us today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Some breaking news coming in. Well, the FBI has averted a potential terrorist attack planned